song has a new meaning for me. A more intentional kind of feeling, a bit more deliberate, kind of heavy-handed. If you've watched a video recently, I mentioned how prior to publicly giving a word of propheticness, God had showed me how inside was like a tunnel, like a pipe. Seen a pipe of gold, pipe of gold. Oh yeah, that's great, that's lovely. I knew what that meant. That was just talking about how to be pure, right? And to relay his message purely. Ooh, boy, did I feel that one today. Wow, did I burn in that today. Massively so. So my day job is largely just kind of cleaning pots and pans and scrubbing, brushing, and today there was someone there who kind of does a bit of inspection, and he noticed that there was not a label on a particular food item, and I seemed to be in the right place at the right time for him to say this to me. So I took it out the back. He had asked to put a label on it, and I spoke to my supervisor, and so she told me to put a label on it, and I find myself standing with a label and a pen and a bottle that I did not know when it had been opened, but needing to fill in this information. I start now sweating bullets. Sweating bullets. I'm laughing, it wasn't funny. It was really bad. My heart was racing. I was panicked. Because this morning, let's see if I can find it actually. I think I might have it bookmarked. This morning when I was reading, come on, I should be able to find this. Okay, well, one of the commandments is, you shall not be a false witness. I mean, it would be easy to think that that is just talking about falsely witnessing against another person, but what if it's also a lot deeper than that and a lot more nitty-gritty? What does it mean to be a false witness? To hand over false information. And that was actually something that I dealt with in my previous job in the same company. I very reluctantly had to tell them that I could not sign my initial at a particular spot because I didn't believe it to be true. And that's a hard thing to do. I mean, let's be honest, let's be frank. We live in a world of people who, this is actually weird. This is actually weird. And so back to today where I'm sweating bullets. I think I stood for about 5 minutes with a calendar, with a pen and this label and this bottle, trying to figure out. And I asked one of the other girls that worked there, do you know when this bottle was opened? She said, oh, about a week ago. So I wrote a date down that was roughly around a week ago, stuck it on the ball, set it out. This was not sitting in my spirit. was not sitting in my spirit. This was so consuming for me that I had to go and sit down. I had to go and sit down. I was feeling so convicted about this. I was feeling so convicted. And I sat there and I just went, God, please help me get out of this. Please help me get out of this. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with what I have needed to do in this situation. And to be quite frank, there is nothing that is worth your intimacy with God. There is no person, there is no thing that is worth your intimacy with Him. Anything, nothing to come between you, no. And I know that there could be people that listen to this and think this is real intense. And actually, do you know, I am real intense. I am really intense about God. I'm really intense about my relationship with Him. I'm really intense about where He wants to bring me and how He wants my life to look. And I love Him more. And so for someone like me trying, wow, this was really difficult. My anxiety was going through the roof. I should have said no at the start, but you know, sometimes things can easily take us off guard. We don't really, kind of doesn't really sink in until maybe a moment or so later and we're thinking about it and it's like, oh no, whoa, oh no. This was not good. So I decided to go out and lift the bottle. I decided, first and foremost, I was ripping that label off it. So I took the label off it, crumpled it up and threw it in the bin, and I brought the bottle into the back of the store. I had no idea what I was going to do next. I really felt like I was in such a catch-22. I mean, I can write a label if it's true. I can write that information if that is true. But I cannot bear false witness. I want to read to you from Proverbs chapter 17, verse 3. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests hearts. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests hearts. You know, when I contemplated everything as I sat in that chair, I just begged God, please help me. Please help me to rectify this, because I'm not happy with this and I don't feel okay with this. I feel convicted about this. And I don't want anything in between the way of me and you. And so I knew I would have to come clean about my reasoning or my issue with this label. And so it just so happened that God in His grace helped me to very quickly blurt it out when I seen her. She came around the corner as I had walked in that direction, and she came around the corner by herself, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I need to talk to you. And I tried then to awkwardly explain how should have told you when you asked, but actually I can't write a label that I don't actually know the truth of. I don't actually know. I don't know, and I can't write it. And this was a really awkward conversation for me because I didn't know how she was going to react. I did not know how she was going to react. And I just give God the glory and the honor. I praise him because there was favour and she was okay with what I was explaining to her. I don't normally tell people that I'm a Christian. And why? Because when you go to the grocery store, you don't need a label to tell you which fruit is an apple. I don't feel the need to put a label on my forehead on the first introduction with a person and say, oh, I'm a Christian. I very much feel like the fruit of my life should make it quite obvious. And that is my prayer. I will work with people for a long time before it comes up in a conversation. And it's not that I'm trying to hide it. It's that I don't want them to see me as anything other than a caring, loving human beside them. It would be easy sometimes to go in and just say, oh, I'm a Christian, and have someone feel in any way like, did I just lord that over them? Will they have the impression that I think I'm better than them? Or like that's just not how I roll. I don't need a rapper. You should be able to see. And if it's not obvious by how I live my life in front of you, then I'm not a very good apple then, am I? So today was actually a day where I did quite forthcomingly say it. I said I'm a Christian actually, and I've known this woman, by the way, for maybe almost a year. You know, and I just said like I actually can't do this. I'm really sorry, but I can't write that. Wow. I'm saying this with a smile on my face, and I can promise you that I was pretty upset this morning in the reality of this burning furnace. But you see, the thing is, I can't let anything stop me from being gold. I cannot let anything stop me from being gold. You know, I think that there are a lot of things that are quite universal, right? We all know the Ten Commandments. They are quite universal. But the doctor is not tested on how to fly a spaceship or a rocket ship. And likewise, the scientist is not tested on how to clean a toilet. Because there are universal truths about being one of God's children, right? but there is a particular emphasis on what is linked to your calling. Because God is not going to, God is only going to use us as much as He can trust us. And I read recently, too much is given, much is required. Too much, to whom much is given, much is required. So don't look at your Christian brother or sister and say, why do they get to do that and I don't? Why do they do this and God's not convicting them? To whom much is giving, much is required. And this is the most ridiculous story of how I could not fill in a very small little label with some dates and an initial. Because to whom much is given, much is required. And God will absolutely nitpick. Because you know what happens when you have head lice? You just need one of those. You just need one head lice in your hair, and that thing multiplies. I really could have done without this test today, guys. I really could have done without this. Wow. Did I pass with flying colours? No, definitely not. I kind of screwed up there a bit. But wow, does God have mercy? Yes. Is He waiting on us to do a 180? Yes. Yes. Whether you've just done it, whether it was years ago that you've done it, the most important thing is that you change, you turn around. Turn around. I'm really annoyed about it. I was so annoyed about it. But look, we are all learning. We are all growing. And the main thing is, yeah, I do think the main thing is that I corrected it. I corrected myself. I corrected, yeah. And the thought that was coming to me was obedience over sacrifice. Obedience over sacrifice. God is more interested in you being obedient to His word, to His voice, than anything that you could give up or, yeah. Obedience over sacrifice. Oh boy, that was, wow. That was horrendous. So difficult. That was so hard. That was so awful. Golden pipes. Golden pipes. How to get the gold through the flames of a furnace.